Welcome to Soul Thrive, where we explore spirituality through healing trauma, shadow work, and applying the laws of the universe in order to master ourselves without the fear of the unknown. Hi, guys. Welcome to another episode on the Soul Thrive podcast. I'm super excited to welcome our next guest, Holly. Holly, why don't you introduce yourself to our audience?
Of course. Thank you so much for having me, both of you. My name is Holly Charlotte Brown. I'm a yoga teacher. I'm also a holistic health coach. I have explored so many different things within the spiritual side of things, from Reiki to crystals. But the main thing that I am doing at the moment is teaching yoga, hosting retreats. And the newest thing that I'm doing, so I also do one-to-one coaching, but the newest thing that I'm doing, which I'm so excited about, is a monthly self-care club. But it's called True Self-Care Club, where we get together and we go deep into self-exploration with our creativity, our fun, and our self-expression. So it will be like doing art where you can look at what it is that you see within that and what it's telling you. You'll be dancing, we'll be singing, doing yoga, all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, I would say that's me. That's what I
Right.
do.
Love that. It sounds
Yeah.
like you're really diving into a lot of the divine feminine energy. So being able to kind of
Yeah.
cultivate that self-love and pull out from the subconscious, imageries, that creativity, that ability for people to kind of tap into those parts of themselves, which sounds like fun. Actually, you know what I
Yeah.
did this morning? This morning, I didn't tell you
Mhm.
this. I have been incorporating my breath work back into my practice a little bit and my meditation. And then this morning, I felt drawn and have been drawn to doing divine feminine dance. So
Oh,
I went online this morning. I was like, okay, guys, I hear you. And then I was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to tap into this. And honestly, it was so much fun. And I actually got like a really good exercise with it too this morning. It wasn't long, it
mhm.
was like 20 minutes.
What
But
songs did you? What?
it
I'm
wasn't
just
music. I
curious.
followed a girl who was doing this online. I don't remember who. Maybe I'll figure it out and I'll let you know. I'll send you the link or whatever. But she was just doing like kind of like yoga poses
Yeah.
and
Right.
incorporating a lot of hip openers, but at the same
Nice.
time, movement.
Right.
But
That's
movement where
cool.
you're really expressing and moving your spine and moving your hips. So I'm sure you kind of maybe can relate to that considering you teach yoga, right?
Well, my background and what I did ever since I was a child. So, right from the age of 3, I was a dancer. And that was
Okay.
the thing that I did. So, ever since a child from 3, I then went on to do it professionally as well.
Mhm.
But there's a whole story around that. So, the thing why I loved dance so much was because I could express myself
Yes.
creatively. I loved telling a story with my body. But what I found with the industry was that one, it wasn't great for my mental health. I got an eating disorder from looking at my
Right.
body all the time in the mirror, having
Mm.
to wear certain things that are tight all the time. And then also the environment that they create can be quite competitive and just, yeah, not great mentally. And then I just decided actually, like, in the industry, I don't feel like I can actually fully creatively express myself. It feels like they want me to fit into what they want me to do. But I just
Right.
want to free flow and tell a story. I don't want to just do what you tell me to do with my body, if that makes
Mhm.
sense.
Absolutely.
Um, yeah. So that's when I then found yoga from dance, because at the time it was around COVID. I was having a mental, spiritual breakdown, awakening situation
Mhm.
going on, and the only exercise that I could do was yoga, and
Okay.
that's what led me on to then go and teach that, and I absolutely love it.
Well, it sounds like it's very much in your alignment, especially probably very healing considering you went through an eating disorder. And
Yeah.
that in itself, I think when we can finally embrace the divine feminine within you to a degree and tap into that creative energy. And also what I liked is what you said, like you're like, I don't want to be told what to do. I wanted to do and move in a way that was right for me. And choosing that for me is very
Yeah.
healing, right? And whereas, like,
Yes.
yes, when you're in a dance, it's competition, you're being told what to do, you're a
Very
little fault.
masculine energy.
It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, even though it comes
Yeah.
off as like
Yeah.
such a feminine way of operating, it's very militant. It's got that way of like, this is how you're supposed to kick. This is how you're
Yep.
supposed to stand. This is how you're supposed
Hmm.
to operate and smile and present yourself in a specific light, which
Yeah.
is psychologically damaging to a degree, I think, for little
Yeah.
girls. And then even when you want to get into more of that professional work, like being a professional dancer, you're expected to be a specific size.
Yes.
How did
Yeah.
you navigate that? Like, I'm sure that must have been
Well,
so hard.
I was probably, I've always been more inclined, I think, to be in my feminine side because I've loved just, creating and all of that side of thing. But I think I was kind of trained into being more of the masculine because of the
Yes.
dance, as you described. And then the eating disorder came from there because then that's also control and all of that stuff. But my main dream was to actually dance on a cruise ship. And I was like, that was the only thing that I
All
want to
right.
do. And that's what I ended up going to do. I once I'd completed my dream, I was then like, okay, I've done that. Now what? And I
Right.
realized that throughout dance, I was able to do what they told me to do with my body, but I wasn't then able to like express myself the way I wanted to.
Mhm.
Even if it was like, let's do intuitive dance, I had a block around it. I
Right.
really struggled, as well as using my voice as well. If I would struggle to speak up to my mum or to my coach if I was like, I actually just don't have this passion anymore. I'd have to really conjure up because I was talented at dancing, but for some reason it felt like everyone else wanted me to dance except for myself.
Mm.
And
Hmm.
that's what was really hard. It felt like I was letting so many people down. And it's just
Right.
such a thing to do from the age of like 16 to tell my coach that's put so much time and effort into me. And then my mum, who's, put so much money and time as well into me dancing, to then tell them, like, actually, I think it's just not for me. I don't want to dance anymore. That was a really big moment for me to do. It felt like a big, like, it felt
You
like a
took your
bit of a
power
past life
back.
type of
Yeah.
healing
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Did that
Like a
It,
happen
throat
in?
chakra thing.
yeah, it
Mhm.
feels like you're taking your
Yeah.
power back in that moment. You're giving yourself the freedom to express your truth, even if you
Yeah.
disappoint people. When in reality, like I get there was a lot of investment that goes into dance, right?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
being really good and talented at it, and then not loving it.
Yeah.
And
It,
it's
it
not
was
just like
so,
burnout. Like there's a difference. Like
no.
it's normal to be burnt out. It's normal to go through phases. I mean, I was just having this
Mm,
conversation with you about the work that I do, like
Mhm.
how I'm operating and stuff. I'm like, I just haven't really felt into it in the last little while. And I think there's a burnout with that
yeah.
because sometimes it just feels like you're running on that like a hamster wheel. Is that what it's the
Mhm.
saying? Like
Mhm.
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, right. And then you realize, no, it's just I need time to rest or I need time to reset. But yours was more just
Mhm.
like, I just need my power back. I don't want to do things for
Yes.
Yeah. And
Yeah. And
did that
you
switch
go.
happen in 2020? Was that related to your spiritual awakening or that the meltdown as you described it?
Yeah, it was because that was when I fully decided. So there was like age 16 was when I told my coach I no longer wanted to do a certain style of dance. And then it was age during 2020 where I told my mum I actually just don't want to continue this as a career. And then my whole identity of being a dancer like
Hmm.
crumbled. I was like, who am I without being applauded all the time for
Mhm.
performing?
Right.
Mhm.
Who am I without going to dance all the time and have this like anxiety of making sure that I'm always training hard and being the best I can possibly be? And what does my future look like? Because all I'd envisioned from a child was me being a dancer. Who am I without
Right.
that? So that is what started that awakening really. But also it felt like at the same time I was feeling like the collective energy of what was going on. And a thing for me in my life is to feel free. Like I want to feel like I've got autonomy in my life. And so
Yes.
obviously we were told to be locked up in our houses. And something within me was like questioning everything about life. Like, why are women told to be put on pills? Why are we, I don't know. I was just questioning so many things and just kind of really reevaluating life in general, but to the point where I was getting panic attacks. And the thing that woke me up to realize that there was more to us than this physical body, because I was really in a really dark place where I was even thinking like, if I don't have a purpose, like what's the point of me being here kind of
Right.
thing. A really
Yeah.
like dark night of the soul moment.
Yes.
Mhm.
And the thing that happened was when I was having a panic attack, I was home alone. But there was a voice that said in my head, ask, scream out for help. And my head was like, obviously this all happened really quickly as I was having this panic attack. I was thinking, no one's going to hear me if I scream out for help. That's so silly. But I had no other choice but to go, someone help me. And all of a sudden, I felt full body tingles and just like this pure unconditional love. And I just calmed down and I was like, whoa. Okay.
Was that her guides? What was that?
100%. 100%. Yeah.
I'm like, what is that?
No, it's 100%. That was her guides kicking in and stepping forward and you were hearing it clairaudient. You were hearing them.
Yes.
You have free will, right? You can't access.
Yeah.
They won't intervene in helping you. And because you were conditioned to operate a specific way, you didn't think for yourself. You operated in a way where you were told what to do. And so when you're being told what to do, and then she's having this like midlife crisis, basically this dark night of the soul, and she's asking all the right questions, because you should be asking all those questions. There is this surrendering that happens with that. But then of course the nervous system goes, oh, now we have the opportunity to allow everything to come up, which is super scary, because when you're having a panic attack or an anxiety attack, it feels like you're dying.
It does.
Right? Like, it's like, oh my God, what is happening to me? So by her hearing the clairaudient, that primary guide come in and say, just scream or ask for help, they stepped forward. She gave them the permission finally, because you were probably living in a state of resistance for some time.
I was going to say, probably couldn't even make that connection. And then you were saying before we got on that you were starting to sort of listen to your intuition and that voice more. So how has that been like strengthened since that episode, I'm assuming?
Yeah. So from the journey from there, that's when my mind became expanded of like, okay, it felt to me, so I feel really connected to angels, and it felt to me like I the thought came on my mind, was that an angel? Which I didn't even believe in angels at that point. I was like, weird. And so from then on, so many synchronicities, even like down to winning to go to a yin yoga retreat, happened all the way in Bali for free. That felt like a divinely guided, led thing. But also I think I'm also clairsentient. I feel a lot and just kind of know that things or certain energies are around me. So I guess from that situation, it really made me realize like, wow, okay, I need to really take this seriously, this spiritual thing that just happened to me. And I don't know if you know her, but it was this woman that she has a podcast. Her name's Emma Mumford. I think it's like Spiritual Badass Queens or something like that. And I started listening to her stuff that like slowly started to delve me into more of the spiritual side of things and that connection. And then going forward, a lot more like spiritual like activity was going on.
Right.
A lot of my life I've like I've actually physically felt like spirits touch me. It's been that physical. I guess what woke me up deeper was being attuned to Reiki, where I had Archangel Michael visit me, which I was like, I didn't even know if that was even a thing. But I had a man like stood behind me with a sword, and I was like,
right.
Keep hearing the word Michael. And then I pulled this oracle card after, and it was like, Archangel Michael has the sword of truth. And I was like, okay. I felt all of my ancestors holding my shoulders. It was just so magical. So there's been so many situations and amazing things that have happened.
How long have you been on this journey now? How long has it been that you've been on this journey? 3 years, 4 years, longer?
I'm 26, about to turn 27. So when was that? I was 21 or 22. So about 4 years, 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, you're going to go through some awakenings in the next couple of years.
Do you think?
Oh, have some fun with that. There's going to be more. This is great. This is good.
Oh, I've had the past year has been a big awakening. A big deep dive into like inner child healing.
Yes.
All of the stuff.
Oh yeah,
everything's unraveling.
Yeah,
it's
great when you start off your. This is what I want people to understand, that when they start off on their spiritual journey, it's gonna be like this. It's gonna feel like you're having these moments of these awakenings, and you're gonna start to connect with your guides or angels, and it's gonna feel really, really beautiful and harmonious, and they're going to build trust with you and intuition, and they're going to build that relationship with you, and then they're going to go, okay, off into the deep end. Now you're going to have to start seeing, and that's where most people stop and they try to
Right.
bypass it
Yeah.
instead of actually
Yeah.
like diving into it and looking at and reflecting on their shadow emotions and looking at their inner child and looking at the parts of them. And because you have gone through extensive trauma, there's no way you can level up frequency wise if you don't deal with these parts of you. They have to be
100%.
integrated. And then you were also talking about kind of slowly tapping into a little bit of mediumship that's kind of kicking in a little bit, which is really beautiful too, because what people don't register is, I mean, like I said, if you're on the journey, because you asked me earlier about, you know, oh, everyone has abilities or psychic, yeah, everyone has intuition and they all work with that. But then there's this harmony that happens when you've committed to the path, like your path innately is this one. And so mediumship pulls you into a different frequency, pulls you into a different way of operating. And so you're going to have more of these subconscious parts of you that are going to show up, which is going to be very interesting, I think, developmentally, which is like exciting.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard of Arthur Findlay College in the UK.
I have not. No.
It's a mediumship college. It's
okay.
No way.
Very interesting.
I'm telling you, everything is in the UK. I'm telling you, like most of like the people that come with like, well, it's so interesting because the country in UK vibrationally, like it's a little stuffy, if I could just say it.
Tell me about it.
A little bit. But there's a seriousness in when you like, there's like a split, there's a seriousness in spiritual development, which is so fascinating there. There are a lot of people that believe in angels. There are a lot of people that psychics and mediums and all that. And the really great ones are from
and we had
UK.
some good folks on the podcast too from the UK. Some of my favorite.
Great people from the UK. And we've discussed, and it's been great for me too, because that holds my frequency at a really great place too, to connect with people from the UK.
But it's a school. So what do they?
It's a school.
So they teach you.
I met someone at this workshop. Yeah,
didn't have a choice.
So I felt guided first of all to angels, because I was starting to see like double numbers. And I was even feeling connected to butterflies and just things like that. I know it sounds like a bit silly, but it just felt resonant with me that something was speaking to me. And so there was this woman online that is all about angels, and I took an angel card reading course. And I'm still like, part of my mind at this point is still thinking like, is this even a thing? But like the other part of me just knows. And then I met someone when I went to her workshop. Met someone who's from the UK, and she told me about this school, because I said I wanted to like explore mediumship a little bit, because I'm having like certain things happen to me, and I just think I'd love to explore that. So she told me about the school, and we ended up going at the same time without even knowing. We booked onto the same one, and it was a 7-day course, and they basically just help you to connect with spirit. And I don't think it's what people think. I think people think, oh, you're just going to see a person standing there.
Always work like that. No. It isn't. I mean, it's funny because sometimes I do see it. Sometimes when sometimes it's like very in your face, and other times I'm like, I don't need to see, just let me know. And or like I'm going to get an impression or a psychic impression or a consciousness of whatever that energy is. So everyone does think like it's like scary, you know, their first assumptions like, you talk to dead people, what do you mean now, like what do you see, who's standing here with me? And I'm like, it doesn't work like that. Not all
Absolutely
the time. Sometimes I'll see like a random, like if I'm at the supermarket and there's like someone walking by, and I'll see like their dead grandmother walking behind them. Sometimes it does.
Wow.
It does. I do have like it is evident, it's there, but I'm not going around going to be like, hey, by the way, your so and so grandma's over here. Like no, right?
Exactly. So Arthur Findlay College really, I think it's because I had a lot of questions about mediumship, and I was just so curious. And going there, it just really helped me to understand it more and to figure it out for myself. And it was like, they get you to feel into what's coming through. And it was all sort of senses that come through. Things like my ear was ringing because someone was deaf and when they were dead, and things like that. So it's like, it just really opened my eyes to how it actually works, and that I'm I'm already tapped into, but it's just knowing and trusting yourself what you're actually perceiving in a sense.
Yes. And the symbolisms, right? You're going to now remember that ear ringing for you is going to be a symbol of someone who has hearing issues.
Yes.
Or like I used to draw when I first started off, I used to draw this like round circle and then I'd put a cross in the middle of it. And I never knew what it really meant. And then years later, I was like, oh, I get it now. Like this person was like highly religious and like this is what so there was like symbolisms, like symbols would come in and I would just jot down all these random things.
I do watch her sometimes when she's channeling. She is doodling things on paper, and I'm like, "What is happening?"
Oh, that's cool.
So the doodles, like, I'm no matter what. I had so many books, and I still do. I always have a book nearby me when I'm writing, and it's not that I need it, but sometimes when I'm, like I said, when I'm getting the downloads of whatever the information is or whoever I'm communicating with, I am scribbling down what looks like nonsense to somebody else, right? But for me at that moment when I'm tapped in, you're literally looking at that paper and I can read it, no problem. I can look at the symbols, I can figure things out. And then the clairsentient will kick in sometimes, and it's more just like a sensation in the body being like, oh, so-and-so had cancer in this area, or so the more you develop it at the beginning, it's kind of hard. I think like when I didn't like the clairsentient part too much because I would physically get ill sometimes.
Yeah.
But now it's not an issue. Now it's just like, okay, I know it's this, and this. Or
so it's really then going to be like, did you say you were clairsentient?
Clairsentient.
Because then it's like learning what's yours and what's someone else's. That's so
exactly.
That has to be hard. Yeah.
I actually, as a child, really struggled with like I had a lot of chest pains to the point where I'd be like rushed to hospital, and they'd be like, "You're literally fine," and I'd be literally in excruciating pain, and I was always such a sensitive child to the point of like not even wanting to wear jeans because it just feels tight on my body.
The texture. Yes. The sense of certain things for sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
Scared of the dark and scared of like feeling as if there were things in my room all the time.
You're like literally, this is so crazy. This is my childhood too. Like so many things that she's talking about, like everything she's been saying. I'm like, wow, I feel like I'm looking at a younger version of myself.
Yeah.
Well, that's so cool.
I think for you too, like you are intuitive, but you use your intuition in a very different way. I think like, and when you know someone's around you, like you usually sense that too. I think
my grandmother shakes my whole house.
Yeah. Her grandmother will come out of nowhere and like start moving things, dressers on, and she's like, yeah. So I'm like, yeah, your grandmother came to visit. Like her grandma's always around. Like it's not even a question.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
But
that's so cool.
Yeah.
My a funny story actually the other month. I used to live in London, and then I moved home just last September. And I got 3 knocks on my door at like 6 a.m. thinking it was my mum. I was like, oh my God, like get up. What do you want? No one's at the door. And I was like, all right, okay, that's obviously a spirit. And I felt as though it was my nonna. And I usually don't tell my parents about these things that happen, but I thought I would tell them. And they was like, that's really weird. And they believe in spirit. They've had certain things happen, but they don't like to feed into it.
I was gonna say, how are you navigating that now? Because like you've made a completely different change in comparison. So how are they kind of like understanding it, or like do they think you're going like when I fully embraced my gifts and the process that I was going through, people thought I was going through like a crisis, or they thought like I was going through like they thought I was schizophrenic. One person was like, "Are you sure?" Schizophrenic. I was like, no. And then the third person, like other people were like, this is just a phase. You're just going through a phase. Like I get your spirituality and all that. It's just a phase. And I was like, no, I've been seeing things since I was like a kid. So no.
Yeah. It was really difficult. It lasted for about a year because I was struggling to accept it myself. I was literally thinking, why can't I just be the dancer, a normal person like everybody else? But I knew that I just was on this different path, and I so badly wanted to embrace it. I just wasn't fully accepting it myself. So I think my parents were really supportive, but it also did take them a bit of a time to come around to realize what I was doing. And just, I guess, because if I don't accept it, how are they going to fully accept it as well? So that has been tough. There has been a few little back and forth moments. Even with friends, I'd struggle with a little bit if you're just getting like random little comments from them and you're like, you know what? we can have some banter about it, but maybe just not yet while I'm integrating all of this.
Yeah.
But do you
know
find
what
they
I mean?
come to you for help? It's so funny that you
We've had
made
this
that comment. Like,
conversation. Yeah.
like they'll say things like, "Oh, you're like spiritual, whatever." But then when they have a dream or if they need any help, do they come to you and they're like, "What does this mean?"
Yeah. All the time.
100%, 100%. Well, a lot of my friends that I've like reconnected with, whether they've been in the past from childhood and stuff, especially as I've moved back home, I've reconnected with a lot of people and guided them through, like with one-to-one coaching, through shadow work and spiritual connection and that kind of stuff. So I think it's been really healing to come back home and see the people that you knew when you were younger. And obviously I wasn't aware that spirit existed or that I had this spiritual essence or side to me, even though we're all spiritual, we're all spirit, to then also show this side of myself and be around this area teaching yoga and those people coming and starting to delve into that. It's just really cool that I've gone away, learned so much, traveled, and then I've been able to come and spread that around my hometown as well. It's really healing.
Yeah, that's very, very healing. It's like you're picking up parts of yourself and healing those parts within your town too, which is really lovely, I think.
Definitely.
Yeah, Toronto's too big for me to do that with everybody.
Yeah, mine's a small town, so it's quite easy. But and it's like one of those things that
I
everyone
need
knows
to go to
each
a
other.
small town and just like hibernate for a while. See
Yeah.
what's going on here.
Maybe that's a good
Maybe
idea.
that's what I need.
Yeah.
I don't know. Whatever. We'll see.
Maybe. Well, that was one of the reasons why I moved out of London, because I was feeling so heavy all the time,
So chaotic.
energetically.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm sorry, but I can't be helping other people right now if I'm struggling myself.
Yeah.
And as soon as I moved home, we're like in the middle of nowhere in the countryside, my nervous system has just felt so much better. I felt so much grounded.
My guides want me here. They don't want me to go
Really?
anywhere. Oh, you have no idea. They're like, you're going through the trenches. Like, you need to be here. Like, and it's weird because I've never seen me like leave and move. I visit, I travel, I do things. I know when I'm being called to go to a specific place. Like when I'm being called, she knows, like, I'm like, we need to do a retreat here. I'm being called to go there. And I'll do grid work and I'll do all of this other stuff so that like I'm kind of elevating the frequency in the country that I come to visit. And then I tune into the frequency a lot, which is awful sometimes because like it could be really depressing. So when I go to other countries, sometimes I'm a wreck. I'm a mess. I feel everything, right? Then I come here and normal. I'm back into the routine of things and I feel grounded in Toronto and I feel very content. Where we live, Etobicoke is really nice. I mean, like it's kind of got a little bit of that.
A little more zen.
A little bit more zen than just like more of downtown. But
But London, it's so interesting. Like when I visited so many times, I have so many friends there. It doesn't sit with me at all. Like the energy, I'm always passing through because people would always be like, "Would you want to come stay for a week?" I'm like, "No."
But I'm like, telling you,
2 days.
London is that. London's energy feels very much like just passing through.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like home. It's like you're there and it's like you're there for a reason. You're there for a purpose.
Yes.
You're there for like
a job or something.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a purpose for it, but you're always just passing through. It's really interesting.
That's exactly how I felt. I knew that I was called there. I actually went there twice. And the second time I was like, for God's sake, I don't want to go back, but I know I need to.
Right.
And I was there for another 3 years. And the energy does make you hustle more in a good way. It gets things going. Like the energy, you don't feel like you can relax. So it's like, it's productive energy. Whereas where I am now, it is a lot more laid back and chilled, which is what I need at the moment. So it's quite interesting, isn't it? Where you're pulled to certain places that have that certain different energetic feel to it.
Yeah.
To give you whatever you need. Yeah.
I wonder if you'll stay there or if she'll move. She's not going to say.
Yeah. What do you think?
I don't know. It just feels.
I think where she is right now is important because are you in a relationship?
Yes,
it's a situationship. Okay, whatever.
It's very new.
So right now she needs to be in this place. And then once this settles in and she gets a little bit more of the support through the masculine energy that's coming in, then she's going to have the ability to really accomplish big things and move into different directions.
Oh, that's lovely. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I feel I feel the same. Like I felt like I was coming back here to really root and plant
Yes.
seeds for
Yes.
the next couple of years.
Yes.
And I was thinking, oh, I don't feel like this is where I'm meant to be forever.
No.
And I can be a bit of a butterfly.
Right?
I felt that.
Yeah.
You see, I'm a little
Yes, you did feel
intuitive.
that. But it's like you're training, right? Like it's like no matter what, you're going to go through periods where they're going to test you, they're going to train you, they're going to guide you, they're going to teach you, they're going to do all of that. But they also want you to develop your roots, develop your groundedness, develop your boundaries, all of those things, right? And then once you get to a place of being able to feel more comfortable within yourself, then you transition into the next phase of whatever it is. And it's never really comfortable. There's always a weird transition because I'm in one right now and it's not easy and it's not fun. It's like the old version of me doesn't exist anymore, but the new version of me isn't here either. So I'm kind of caught in this like really weird paradox. And I'm like, what the F is this? Right. But then you got to trust it. You got to kind of keep leaning into this process. Well, honestly, Holly, this has been a really great conversation with you. It's been a lot of fun. I
love
really
it. Yeah.
Because, like I see my younger version in her too.
Totally.
And I'm like I want to give my younger version a hug for like all the shit that she's been through. This work is not for the faint of heart. It's not. You're gonna have, and you know this. It's not for the faint of heart. And when you put yourself in a situation where you're leaning into trusting your intuition, guiding people, doing one-on-one work, helping people, they turn on you really fucking quick. You are going to have the goods and the bads of both. And there's going to be so much beauty that comes out of this. And then there's going to be so much healing that you're going to have to go through it too. And sometimes, I'm going to be honest to all our viewers, it fucking sucks. And other times it's just like, oh my God, finally, this was exactly where I wanted to be. And this is exactly how I wanted to help this person or this experience. If you can offer one tidbit of information, whether it be inner child work, shadow work, yoga, anything, what do you think that you could offer someone to start off on their own process of maybe listening to their intuition or even paying attention to that voice that you even said? What do you think you'd offer someone as far as advice goes?
I'm going to go with inner child healing because I think that's been the biggest thing that's helped me to connect with myself and my intuition and also love at the same time. So reconnecting with what brought you joy as a child and also thinking of yourself as a child so that the way that you speak to yourself is a lot more kind. I know that I personally am still on that journey of making sure that I love myself as much as I give and that love to others. My favorite exercise that I do is I always keep a picture of my younger self on my table and I always am like, I'm doing this for you. Anytime that I'm feeling some sort of fear come up, instead of getting annoyed at myself, I'm like, okay, I hear you. I know that you're scared about this, but look, I've got you. There's this meditation that I do all the time as well, where I meet my younger self. I ask her what she wants to tell me right now, what she wants from me. We hold hands and I say, look, I've got you. We're safe. Let me take the lead here. Just because otherwise it's your inner child then running the show, trying to self-sabotage and trying to get your attention.
They run amok. Trust me. I keep telling her, I'm like, you guys have no idea how your inner child leads.
Exactly. So I would just say inner child work and that connection will open up your intuition and differentiate who your inner child is and who's your true soul, higher self, I guess you could say as well.
I love that. Yeah. Thank you so
much,
Holly. I appreciate you coming on to the podcast. This was beautiful. Thank you so much. I wish you all the best on the healing journey and all the people that you're going to help anytime you come to
in the summer, not in the winter, in the summer.
Definitely in the summer. Thank you guys.
You can message us.
Message us. We'll take it out.
Thank you. This has been so lovely. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you.